Hello and welcome to Calico Flower Studio. I'm Danny and today I'm going to walk you through a sketchbook that I just finished. It's one that I made myself with handmade paper. So we'll go through it page by page and I'll give you a little bit of backstory. So sit back, relax, enjoy the process. Subscribe if you haven't already, share this with a friend, and leave me a comment. I always love to hear from you. All right, thanks again and enjoy. All right, let's get started. So this is a journal that I made a little over a year ago in June 2023, and I just finished it in July of 2024 this year. And this was, this paper that I used to make this journal was from my first batch of paper that I ever made, because I only started making paper a little over a year ago. So the paper is a little bit chunky and it's got lots of bits of this magazine, or it was a seed catalog for buying seeds to plant flowers and vegetables and fruits and whatnot. And I was still kind of figuring out how to bind journals. I bind them differently now, but this one is, I think, a Copic stitch. I do make journals this size still, and I have them on my website if you want to make a journal like this yourself. And this is the first page. I really, really love this page. It's a combination of watercolor and collage and mark making with pen, and I've got some writing in here as well. It's a quote from Eckhart Tolle's book called Stillness Speaks. It says, "A great silent space holds all of nature in its embrace. It also holds you." I was just kind of like going with the flow with this one, just experimenting. I wanted to see how watercolor would interact with the paper that I made, as well as with writing and, you know, just kind of experimenting. There's two videos where I work in this page. So if you want to watch me make this page, you can see those. I'll link it below. This page is a little bit simpler. I have a little bit of watercolor mark making, and just a little bit of collage, just this little moment over here on the right. It's like it kind of reminds me of like a mountain landscape with reflection in like a body of water or something. But the quote is from a song that my husband wrote. He's a musician. It's called "Never Come Down" by Poré, and it's actually the intro and outro song to my videos. It says, "We are small between the sun and sand, moving at the speed of light." This is another sort of soft and subtle page that's mostly watercolor and a little bit of mark making with pen. I sort of repeated shapes here. I've got some of this little like circle stick, like lollipop music note kind of shapes in pen, and then in colored pencil, And I have them again over here in pencil. I like to repeat shapes, sort of explore them in different ways. I guess there's watercolor, graphite, colored pencil, pen, and I used wax pastel, aka crayon, and I sort of rubbed it in different parts of the journal to get this effect here where you see the pink. It's just like a nice little accent. And then right here I've written, "You are the altar." I was listening to an Instagram live, or it was like a conversation. One of the speakers used this phrase, and it was in reference to the practice of meditation. And basically, it's just the notion that you don't need a super special setup. Not everything needs to be perfect and in place in order to meditate or find stillness or connect to yourself. You don't need to create an external altar because you are the altar. So I thought that was really, really beautiful. And this page has just collage, and then a piece of writing that I added in later. But I did, this is another page that I created on the channel, so I'll link that below. But I was thinking about accumulation and how accumulation plays a role in my creative practice, because you know, as a collage artist, I accumulate a lot of stuff, and that is how I build up my materials. And I think it's fascinating how, as I accumulate all of these things and all these diverse pieces, they kind of share this like history of my creative practice. So I've kind of like loaded up a bunch of little tiny pieces that sort of build themselves across the page, and they build upon each other. But if you look at each individual piece, at least I could tell you where each little piece came from and what it's made of and everything. Yeah, I wrote here, accumulation tells a story, because every little bit of this piece has a story in it. And altogether, it tells the story of my practice, you know? So I think about that in life as well, and how our experiences and everything that we go through accumulates to tell our story. And so we accumulate and gather all of these experiences, and then it's, you know, we have the power to piece them together in order to create our story. And this is just, you know, I'm not super crazy about this page, but I'm gonna share it anyway. It was just me seeing, okay, what could happen if I just tried to do like a watercolor painting? And it's sort of soft and mysterious. I was just playing around, I was practicing, and I remember it was raining when I did this, and I think I was feeling kind of in a funk or something, and I just wanted to sit at my desk in front of my window and just kind of like just paint and let my mind wander and just do something relaxing. So that's where this came from. And then, but then you see here, this is like the next page. I used ink and it kind of bled through the page, but I love when that kind of stuff happens when I'm journaling, is when I'm like, working on one page, and then whatever I do on that page bleeds into the next one. And so it's like one page leads to the next, and it has a little piece of the previous page or the next page contributing. And so it kind of creates this continuous work of art. On the next page, this was another piece that I did on my channel, which I'll link below as well. And what I was thinking about this day was failure. So the title of the video is Fail Forward, and I'm thinking about that idea, how like the role of failure in life and in art, always kind of leading you into the next thing. But the words that I've written here are lyrics from a song. I love song lyrics. It's poetry to me. And it's from my favorite band, one of my favorite bands called the Weepies. But, and it's a song of theirs, but it says, I try to be honest, try to be kind, and honestly leave when I know that it's time. I try to be honest, try to be kind. And then I also was experimenting with weaving on this page. So I have some woven yarn here, which kind of adds like a fun little pop texture. But yeah, so collage and mark making with pen and marker, ink. Stitching, of course. So these papers are not glued in, they're actually just stitched in. Just enough to get it to stay. So this page, I've got a little big tail of thread hanging out in here from the previous page, of course. This page, I remember I skipped and I did this page first, and then went back and did this page, but I used the stitching from the other page, this like sort of square that I stitched and I was like responding to that on this page, and I watercolored these different squares, and then once again just taking a day to just do some painting in here, and it was like very relaxing. I was just sort of like zenned out, not really thinking too hard about it, and just like continuously making this same mark over and over again in different colors. But each mark is, you know, a different size, different shape, going in different directions, so it has some movement. I love how colorful and fun this page is. And then I went back in one day. I was sitting at, I was boothing somewhere, and I had a pen and I had my journal, so I was just doodling. I doodled some little marks in each square. I did something different in each one. And then just outlined some of the shapes on this side. And this page I also did on my channel. It was part of my Cultivate series. I was thinking about what I want to cultivate in my life and in my practice, and sort of thinking about this theme of gardening, like cultivating a garden. What do I want to cultivate in the garden of my spirit, my creative spirit? So yeah, I mean, I was just kind of like having fun, and you know, this page is really neat because it's like really clearly, you know, like this side and this side, but they do kind of like merge together as I've done the collage going across the spine. But it's very much like this image and this image, which is kind of neat. This was a print that I made at my old job. We were doing a printmaking workshop, and the teacher, we were just like playing around and experimenting with how to do prints with styrofoam and ballpoint pens. And I think I did this with like a pencil or something, so the lines are really thick, but I love the looseness of it and the line quality. Wasn't really thinking hard, but isn't that the best though? Like when you're not thinking, the most interesting things happen. And of course this is a picture of me. And I embellished it with these stitches around the edge. So another page that I made on my channel. I think it was Cultivating Commitment. I'll link it below. But yeah, I was inspired by this picture of Clover, who is a black and white cat, sitting in front of a yellow pillow. And I just loved the color scheme. I thought it was striking. And so I used that to inspire my collage choices. But this is all collage with some mark making to sort of like fill in the space. Very, very collage heavy, this one. But I love this print. Also from the printmaking workshop that I made this piece in, I did a little image of a cat. And so I used that. It's like mostly obscured by the other collage pieces, but you can still see the little eyes peeking through and the little ears. And this is another watercolor day where I just wanted to do something relaxing and let my mind wander. So I love this practice of painting circles, like concentric circles. So you start with a big circle and then let that dry, and then you paint another circle on the inside of that, and then another circle on the inside of that. Sometimes the paint wasn't completely dry, which I like that sometimes because it bleeds a little bit. Watercolor is fun in that way, but just a simple page. And then this piece, it's watercolor and then ink, and then I've just collaged a little flower petal here on the side. I found this on the ground at a market one day, and I thought it was a beautiful little flower petal, so I kept it. It was like perfectly flattened, so I knew I wanted to collage with it. And this quote, "To get lost is to learn the way," is from, it's a Swahili proverb that was on a card that I received in a box of tea that my mom gifted to me years ago. And I kept the little card, and it's on our refrigerator, and I see it all the time and think about it. So I wanted to use that quote on this piece because this just resonates with me all the time. Sometimes we have to get lost in order to find the way. And then second to last page, this was at a little gathering of friends where we call it our collage club. So it's a combination of my materials and then some materials that my friends had brought, like this little B&W coupon, and this little image of the kitty cat, his hand. But I was using a technique from my collage series Let Go, where I hold pieces above the canvas or wood panel or whatever, and then I just drop it, and wherever it lands, that's where it's going to stay. So all the collage pieces on here were just dropped one by one, and wherever they landed, that's where I glued them. And it's interesting. It's spontaneous. It's sort of like very floaty. I feel like things are they look like they're suspended in space or like floating in water or something like that. And there's always one piece when I do this practice, there's always one piece that I'm like, okay, this is the one I'm gonna drop last. I make that choice. I'm like, okay, this is the last piece I want to drop. And for this one, it was the cat, because I thought, well, the cat has to be laying on top of everything else, because obviously that's what cats do. They like to lay on top of things. My cats definitely love to do that. And then afterwards, I just went in and filled in some of the space with white paint to sort of like break it up a little bit. Let some of the pieces pop too. And then this page I did in a very recent video. This is a new composition style that I am exploring, where I just choose all of my collage pieces and then very neatly line them up, or, you know, arrange them so they're not touching, but they're just standing separately, side by side. So it's like through proximity, they're sort of having a conversation with each other, but they're standing alone, and just in this style, you can admire each piece as an individual, because each piece to me is interesting. Like I mentioned in the previous page, the accumulation page, it's like each piece has a story. You know, why is it this shape? Where did it come from? That sort of thing. So that's it. That's the end. And now I'm going to start a new journal. And in this next journal, I am focusing more on like exploring. It's going to be in this little tiny one. I'm exploring different ways that other people can use a journal like this. So, you know, I'll have lots of different ways of journaling. Like this is the first page, painting, of course. But then in the next pages, I'll have like, you know, photos, more artsy collage. Maybe you want to write a poem or a recipe, collecting stickers, you know, sketching, stitching, whatever you can think of, pressing flowers, whatever. So, and I also have these, and the watercolor kind of bled through the page here, which is just, that's the way it is. It's all right though. I don't mind it. I think I might embellish the cover of this page. And the journals don't normally have this tag. I was kind of experimenting with how I felt about that, but just ignore that. It's not actually there on my smaller journals. They're just plain. So these are on my website too, the little ones. It's a nice little travel journal. So anyway, thank you so much for spending time with me and reminiscing through this journal that I've worked on for a little over a year. I'm excited to start the next one. And yeah, maybe I'll make some videos of me working in the next one. But I hope you have a beautiful day, and subscribe if you haven't already, and tell your friends who might be interested in journaling or making art or processing life through the lens of art making. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.